What's up? I'm Jack. Welcome into the LFC Transfer Room. Today we have John Solano of RomaPress.net to talk to us more about the potential transfer of Lorenzo Pellegrini, a player who has a €30 million release clause that could be activated this summer. Rumors have linked him to Anfield, and we're going to get some insight on him as a player, as well as some stats overall. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into the video. Lorenzo Pellegrini, 24 years of age, attacking midfielder for Roma, 11 goals and 9 assists in all competitions, made it the best season in terms of his output. But John still thinks that there are ways to go for Lorenzo Pellegrini to go in terms of his development.
He's playing a much more advanced role, playing right behind the striker, and he has settled in. It seems like finally, long last, he has found sort of his little niche role as to what he's good at. Now, I'm still very critical of him. I'm probably a bit more tougher on him than I am some of the other guys at Roma, simply because it is so clear at the level of talent that he has. And I think there's times where he just fails to impose himself. So a lot of the bigger matches you'll see, more so last season, where he just really struggled to get into the match. He really struggled to make it known that he's even on the pitch. That has always been my biggest criticism of him, where he can do fine against the smaller clubs, but when Roma really need him, there's just been, in my opinion, too many moments where he tends to sort of just fall to the wayside. And I think in order for him to take that next step, that is the thing he's going to have to improve in.
Pellegrini's contract situation season with just a year left on his contract and a €30 million release clause that could be activated this summer. Biggest wild card, however, his agent.
Yeah, as of this moment, I do think he's going to sign the renewal. Now, the biggest wild card is his agent, Giampiero Polchetta, a guy that I've gotten to know him pretty well over the last few years. You just look at his client base. He's not exactly dealing with a bunch of stars here. He has two relatively well-known clients. It's Pellegrini and Gregoire de Frel, who's also a former Roma player. So when it's time to, in his case, when the bill comes due, so to speak, when it's time to renew, when it's time to make a move for one of his clients, I don't even know if Giampiero would admit this, but he tends to make a meal of the situation, I guess is probably the politically correct way I can say it. He tends to milk it a bit, maybe make it slightly more difficult than Roma would prefer it to be. So with him, you never know. But the sense that I do get is that he will sign a renewal. I do think it will be 3 to 4 seasons.
Now, we've seen players like Manuel Locatelli have a burst onto the scene because not many fans are watching many Sassuolo matches, but you see Manuel Locatelli doing it up on the big stage, you go and have a bit more interest in him as a player. Pellegrini lost that ability to do it at the Euros because of a hamstring injury. For John, that could potentially mean that he stays at Roma for another season longer.
I could easily see Roma, if they're unable to reach an agreement in these next weeks, say to themselves, wow, it really would have been nice if he participated, did well, and you have somebody come to you and say, here's the release clause, we're going to sign him. I can't imagine that they, if they're unable to get rid of many of these guys, maybe they do regret that.
The biggest issue for John when it comes to the transfer of Pellegrini to Liverpool is the system that he would play in. Early on in his career at Roma, Pellegrini struggled in a midfield three, which is where he would obviously be playing as the replacement for Jorginho Wijnaldum. So could Pellegrini make a return a bit deeper in the pitch, moving from an attacking midfield spot to more of a central midfield spot?
Pellegrini, he needs a bit of freedom. That's the thing I've kind of learned about him over these past couple of seasons. When you shoehorn him tactically and you don't give him a bit of license to roam, you don't give him license to improvise a bit, he really tends to overthink things way too much. They struggle to unlock defenses that sat back and were compact and were kind of willing to just hit you on the counter, not take the initiative from an attacking sense. When you have those sorts of teams where they're just sort of sitting back and forcing you to take the attacking initiative and again unlock things, that is where Pellegrini really struggles.
I want to take a look at some of his stats. I almost forgot to put on the nerd stat glasses. Going to try and use some stat comparisons here. Lorenzo Pellegrini, the biggest thing is he's an attacking midfielder. So his goal output naturally should be stronger than those that are central midfielders in Tielemans and Wijnaldum, and a defensive midfielder in José Bissouma. So Tielemans, Bissouma, Pellegrini all linked to Anfield. Wijnaldum, the man they would be replacing as he makes his way to PSG. Now, in terms of the raw numbers of his passing, he's not going to do that for you. He's going to create chances at a very good rate. He's going to score goals at a very good rate, and he's able to create opportunities up on top of the pitch. He's also a very good presser in terms of the quantity that he does it, so he could be able to bring that to Anfield as well. So the question for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool to answer is that he is not the same kind of guy that you have in the midfield right now. Naby Keita, Thiago, Henderson, Jones, Milner, even the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain are capable of playing a more reserved role, a more compact role, willing to cover for the fullbacks as they make their overlapping runs. If Pellegrini is capable of that, then this is a good transfer. However, Pellegrini, that may not be his best game plan, so you may need to change up the system a bit. So if Liverpool want to go to a 4-2-3-1, as rumors have suggested, he could be just the right guy to play in that number 10 role, and very importantly, add some diversity to Liverpool's options up front. And very importantly, he could add some versatility in positions that he can play as a 10, as a more central midfielder. He'd be a very interesting option to increase the way Liverpool can play their football. What are your thoughts on Lorenzo Pellegrini, and could he be a good transfer for Liverpool? He'd be a different kind of signing, but at 30 million euros, 24 years of age, and with the high potential that John thinks that he has, could be an interesting transfer. Many thanks to John Solano for coming onto the channel. You can find links to get his content in the description down below if you want to hear anything on Italian football or on Roma football. He's your man for that. Let us know your thoughts on Pellegrini in the comments down below. Any other videos, any other streams you want to see from us, let us know down there as well. But for myself, Jack, this has been a video from the LFC Transfer Room. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.